Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk About Big Star, episode August 2023. Today with me is our usual expert of Big Star, Christian. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Hi, Rod. Hi, everyone. I'm quite fine, quite excited. Tomorrow I will traveling again. So it's always fascinating. And I love
I
it.
think, yeah, this year, as I noticed, you keep traveling, Austria, and but it's a lot of work for you. It's a busy year for you, isn't it?
Yeah, as everyone else has a busy year too. You too, of course, with all your things. You,
Yeah, another type of busy, but apparently I'm kind of in rest. But I still do quite a lot of recording, and because I just
yes.
like I get bored, I want to do something. Yeah, but it is nice to keep out activity, but just keep it at a certain level, not make you feel annoyed. But as an astrologer, to be honest, I think you probably agree with me. It's like when you talk about astrology, it's not 100%. If you are just chatting, it's not just it's not you don't feel you are really work and you want to do more. And we are so lucky to have this part of our life, keep
Yeah.
us enjoy to work.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
Agree.
so Christian, so tell us today what stars we're going to talk about.
We are talking about Altair and the constellation Aquila the Eagle.
Mm. Ooh, okay. Is a to be honest, for me, is a star pretty familiar from my culture wise, also from the astronomy wise. I don't know about for Western. Probably most people will know about Big Dipper series or Lyra, maybe Vega, Lyra, and that's all. But probably when you say Altair or something, they were just like, "What is that?" Okay, yes, today we're going to talk about one of bright star in the summer sky and one of star in the summer triangle. I think in the beginning of our series, we already talked about Vega because that is so important. And then last month we talked about Deneb Adige. That's another star in the triangle. Today we're going to complete this triangle. So we're going to introduce you Altair. I mean, don't listen my pronunciation or Christian's pronunciation. We both not native English speaker, And if you want to make fun of us, do it. We couldn't hear you.
We
But
do our best.
yeah, we do. We try our best to that alter, whatever Altair. If you want me to spell it, okay. Let's start. So as usual, I will give some idea about where it is in the sky and how the usual astrologer interpret these stars, and then Christian will bring more deep psychological and mythological meaning, and that was always rich. And then we will bring some wishy-washy, sorry. No, I shouldn't say wishy-washy, sorry. It's very, very inappropriate. Some from other culture, like Chinese culture. That's why I joking about it. Okay, from Chinese culture, from non-Western cultural view of the star, and then we will talk. I will show you some interesting astrophotographs in the sky. Okay, that's stars. So here is the Altair is eagle, like Christian already mentioned about. It's the eagle in the sky, and well, is the star's name is Alpha Agilae. So it's the eagle Alpha star in the Aquila constellation, and the magnitude is very bright. Still remember, if any stars is close to the zero magnitude or even go minus, is the bright star. Okay, so like Altair is 0.76. For astrologer, yes, most important, if I don't tell you where it is located in the zodiac, you will very confused and say, why we talk about it? True, but let me tell you the ancient astrologer in Babylonian time, in Egyptian time, even back to my Chinese background culture, we don't register any older stars on the ecliptic. Okay, that's another thing. Today, astrologers believe zodiac and ecliptic is everything, but it's true. We need a standard. We need a standard to measure it. We need a way to measure it. So okay, let's put it on zodiac. So today, that's why I give you today's position, because they move. Okay, big star doesn't. It's not big star doesn't move. Big star still move, but move very, very slowly, around the 71 to 72 years, 1 degree. So today its position is at 2 degree Aquarius, 06 minutes. Back 20 years ago, in year 2000, that's 1 degree Aquarius, 46 minutes. And in 1980s, 1 degree, 29 minutes. And then back to 1960, 1 degree, 13 minutes. Okay, you can see it moved very, very slowly. So that's why when I see it in 1 degree Aquarius, I have a question. So when does this star move towards the boundary of the constellation of Aquarius, from Capricorn to Aquarius? First, I was joking. There's no boundary on the sky. There's no borderline. They don't need a passport to go to each other's side. But for calculation, we need to set up one thing. So roughly between 1873 to 1874, it moved from 29 degree Capricorn to 0 degree Aquarius. That's another thing, because I'm going to talk about this in the AA conference this year, is when does a fixed star move sign on the zodiac? Well, in the beginning, like everyone, I believe fixed star, like all the other planets, we can calculate the exact time, exact hour, exact minute, exact second when they move, increase, move to one side. Then eventually I compare 4 different software. They all give me different day, different time. I was so shocked. I was so surprised. Then I start to realize, and I start to do a little bit study to realize behind what's making this different situation behind. And I realized until nowadays, still have some software using 1950s so-called ephemeris to calculate the fixed stars. It's not wrong. To be honest, it's not wrong, but it's not as precise as today's technique. So if we use today's technique to proceeding all the calculation, you will get a little bit more precise position for today, not for before. So that's the problem. If I use today's data to calculate it before, I always have some different result. That's the similar things. So I would just suggest, let's use a roughly kind of a year, not like exactly. Some people will say, this star moved into this side at like 2023, April 23, 5 o'clock, 70 minutes. Okay. All right. Do you know your software still use 9050 ephemeris? And I was like, well, I don't want to upset people. That's another part of me. Just like, I don't like argue, so I will just like hold it and then just prepare things I want to say it here. That's it. Okay, sorry, take a long time to tell everyone that it's not like what you think. A big star moves so fast, and the big star have exact time, exact minutes to move the sign. Okay, I'd like to share more about this. Is where to see an Altair. Okay, we already know they are the summer triangle. So they are near Milky Way. Especially we call summer triangle, that means you can see them in the summertime. Okay, let's say this. If you are living in the North Hemisphere, higher latitude, like me and Christian, our city both is 52 north latitude, then we have a very late sunset. So sunset something like 9:30, 9 o'clock at this moment. And the total get totally dark around 10:30, nearly go to bed. But by that time, if you're going out to see the summer triangle, they are hanging high up in the sky. They are hanging right high up in the sky. And for that time, you see the Milky Way is nearly like between, it's just near the south horizon. But if you are in a little bit lower latitude, you can say, well, Barcelona, Tenerife, Malta, that area, you have an early sunset. The sunset could be like a 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock-ish. Well, if you go out that time to see the star, then summer triangle would be in the east part of the sky, still not too high. Okay, so depend on your latitude. This is one thing to learn fixed stars. You also have to learn the whole sky. You have to notice that they move. It's not just looking for the paper. Okay, it's not just looking for the paper. That's the very different thing when I learn fixed star and astronomy. It enriched me in astrology too, in the interpretation. Okay, so now, so it tell you how to see it. So you can see, it's very close to the zodiac about the Capricorn and the Aquarius, and my favorite constellation. I think Christian also like it. It's Dolphinus. I always like. I usually find them first. It's very easy to recognize in the sky. Okay, let's go to see what the 19th century astrologer talking and the 20th century astrologer talking about it. So first we have a Vivian Robinson. Well, everyone consider he is the expert of fixed star, and but I have to say yes, he's the expert of fixed star, but not ancient. He is just maybe 100 years earlier than us. Okay, it's not that ancient like a Ptolemy time. Okay, so Robinson says opinions are divided as to the exact nature of this star. Then he gives a lot of examples, but I just keep Ptolemy. Sorry. So it's a Mars and Jupiter. For Ptolemy, this star is Mars and Jupiter. I think most traditional astrologers will just stay with Ptolemy, but also other astrologers have different opinion. Okay, so it covers a bold, confidence, valiant, and unyielding ambition and liberal nature. So it's a liberal nature, bold, brave, and confident. Great and sudden, but ephemeral, wealthy, and the position of command. Make it native, guilty to bullshit, and give dangers for reptile. For Vivian Robinson, I don't know how many constellation can give dangers for dog bite and the reptile. But I think, why did you say attacked by a bird? In my childhood, when I have to walk to the school, and we have walked up towards a field, a huge rice field, and there's some birds. It's a very, very aggressive little tiny bird. They attack everyone close by. Sometimes I have to run, and I even witness someone run into the rice field, falling to the water. So please, birds can hurt you, okay? Birds could be aggressive, but anyway. So this is a represent. Basically, I will remember Mars, Jupiter, brave, confidence, bold, and freedom. That's the interpretation of Robson. Let's see the everything. It's similar. I think the when you tied up with the benefic starlight body, Altair is created to the best warming, hardness, courageous, generosity, blah blah blah. Okay, I like one thing is the a native tribe wish sincere conviction and to reach out of his aim with utmost willpower. That's been once they decide something they want, they definitely going to get it with their willpower. He will avoid nothing in order to achieve them. Now, don't mess up with them. Once they decide to do something, they have to do it. To be honest, for interpretation, I love most. This is the author I love most is Marcus Manilus, because very directly cut into mythology. Okay, so that means when you understand the mythology of a constellation, you can make your interpretation. And I think that is most easy way to explain the impact of a fixed star and the constellation. This is what he said. The eagle flying high, the bird mighty Jupiter carries thunderbolt. Okay, this is the bird who carries thunderbolt. The bird works with Jupiter and the sky, which is provide a terrible weapon. He is the provider of the weapon. Okay, so maybe it's the weapon merchandise. The bird brings back the thunderbolt thrown by Jupiter and fly in service of the heaven. So he's to carry the ball back. So Jupiter throw it away and he carries it back. It's not very interesting. Today we use dog to do that. He who born, I like this part. This part is his interpretation. He who is born on earth in the hour of its rising. Have you noticed? He used the rising. So he used the rising. But to be honest, in their time, they don't calculate the degree, okay? They really do observation. So if it's rising, grow up eager of spoils and plunder, who even with bullshit also is very brave, very bold, okay? He will draw no line between peace and war. Now this makes me worry. Between citizen and enemy, okay? So he doesn't make difference between citizen and the enemy. When he attack, he will attack everything, I think. That's what he say. When he lack meant to kill, he will engage in slaughter of animals. Thank God not slaughter other people. He is the law unto himself. Wow. Do you think he get more detail and more interesting described than Robson and everything? I like this part. He's a law unto himself, rush violently wherever he is offensive, take him in his eye. It is commendable to show compared to everything. If, however, his aggressiveness can be used, very beautiful, the positive side, can be used for a just cause. He will turn a depravity into virtue, and he will succeed in the ending wars and enrich his country with glorious triumph. Beautiful. I love Marcus Manilus. Love him so much. Well, then last paragraph he repeat. He just say, remember, this eagle is just he's not a weapon itself. He carry the weapon and he take the weapon back. So maybe he is not the king, not the Zeus or not Jupiter itself. He is the sidekick. He is the general next to the king or aide next to the king. So it's a pretty interesting view from the different astrologer make interpretation, but all very similar. And you will be surprised when I talk about the Chinese astrology later. But before that, let me hand it to Christian. Christian, how do you feel their interpretation?
It's interesting because normally we just have this pestilence things,
Yes.
and now they have a common theme. I think it's
Yeah.
about courageousness, boldness, thunder, lightning, and yeah, I will add more of the same.
That's continue.
So here it is, as you have seen when Rod showed you this a few minutes ago, and it's the brightest star in the constellation Aquila, the Eagle, and it's also the 12th brightest star in the night sky. And Altair is one of the vertices of the summer triangle, and the other two are marked by Deneb or Deneb Adige and Vega. We talked about that quite a lot in the Vega episode and the Deneb Adige episode. So when we talk about this constellation, we must talk about the ancient constellation that is recorded in all other star maps, Antinous. And it was not until the astronomers of our century that the constellation was banned from the official star directories. And Venus was of such incredibly beauty that Emperor Hadrian fell madly in love with him. And on a journey to Upper Egypt, Hadrian consulted the oracle of Bessus, and the oracle prophesied that either he himself or the person he loved would die soon. And Antinous' love for Hadrian was so great that the latter, to save the emperor's life, threw himself into the Nile and drowned. And Hadrian had the city of Antinopolis built on the banks of the Nile, where Antinous was worshipped like a god. And finally, Hadrian immortalized Antinous on the vault of heaven. And in the last 3,500 years, different cultures associated this constellation with a bird. It was brought into connection with fire, as Rod said, lightning and sun gods. And most of you know, of course, Ganymede. He was abducted by Zeus from Mount Ida near Troy, and he had been tending sheep when an eagle transported him to Mount Olympus. And on Olympus, Zeus granted him eternal youth and immortality as the official cupbearer of the gods. And in various literature, Hera regards Ganymede as a rival for her husband's affection.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
I just
interesting.
can't stop laughing.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have this Antinous thing, Hadrian and Antinous, and we have Zeus and Antinous. It's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
So the eagle is, of course, the king of the air, and according to Aristotle, sea eagles would only raise the young that could look directly into the sun without their eyes watering. And moreover, the eagle would look directly into the sun as it suit. And Pliny the Elder claimed that eagles were immune to lightning. And the Aztecs considered it to be the sun itself. And in addition, many Native American tribes worshipped it as a symbol of light and adorned themselves with eagle feathers as a sign of bravery. So the eagle became a symbol for the victory of light over darkness. And in the Rig Veda, it appears as the bird Garuda, which is described as flaming and bright, like the light. And with its mighty wings, it can stop the worlds. And Vishnu himself fights on its back against the demons. And in Germanic mythology, an eagle sits atop the world ash. And as Rod said, Zeus himself chooses the eagle as his totem. As a symbol of Jupiter, the eagle became the symbol of the Roman Empire. And at the cremation of a deceased emperor, eagles were released. And it was believed that the eagle would carry the soul of the warrior back to the immortals. So astrologically, according to Bernadette Brady, Altair symbolizes courage and boldness. It can be the perfect archetype of the male conqueror and awe-inspiring greatness. It is somewhat heroic, but not in a brash Martian way. The star is also associated with boldness and action, but this boldness is also associated with human relationships and caring. So this is a star of assertiveness, but with a social conscience. It carries the divine fire of inspiration, which transforms into determination, meaning the ability to achieve through risk-taking or through Dutch determination. So this is a star of action and strength, and therefore strives naturally to action and not to passivity. One's motives in any action will not only be for yourself, but also for the betterment of everyone else too. Altair is also a symbol of the spiritual warrior who fights for his convictions and works for the good of others. And this implies a willingness to stand up for one's principles, even if it brings challenges. And in our polar world, the shadow side of the star can manifest in always needing and seeking competitions. Mm-hmm. There are not enough challenges in life. Escalation levels and problems are created where there are actually none. And I've asked my database to find some interesting people who have connections with Altair, and I found this lady. You probably know her, Annie Oakley. She was an American sharpshooter. Wow. And at age 15, she won a shooting contest against an experienced marksman whom she later married. And the pair performed in Europe before royalty and other heads of state. And the audience was astounded to see her shooting out a cigar from her husband's hand. Yeah. And she also instructed, and this is interesting, she instructed women in marksmanship, believing strongly in female self-defense. And she had Altair as an elliptical setting star, and Altair rises while the moon was setting. And you all know, of course, this guy, Oskar Schindler. He was a German industrialist, humanitarian, and a member of the Nazi Party. And he is credited with saving the lives of 1,200 Jews during the Holocaust by employing them in his factories. And of course, most of you know the 1993 movie Schindler's List.
Yes.
And he really showed extraordinary courage and dedication in saving his Jewish employees' lives. And surprise, surprise, he had Altair setting at the descendant, and Altair was rising while the moon was on the nadir. And I found this really interesting because people, moon, boldness, Altair in combination, so really bold for other people, for his co-workers.
Yes.
And you also find other interesting persons.
Yes. One thing is very interesting is about what I think boldness and courage and the brave are the signature of this star. But the ancient astrology usually put a lot of war and, like Marx Manilus say, well, working for the slaughterhouse, we don't know about it. But I also notice a lot of peacemaker. They need to be brave, and so they know that how the world could be destructive. So they be very, very brave. So I find a few cases. Well, this is the few cases most people know, but because I also like Christian, I use the software to choose, and I choose these three. They have their son are parent with Altair when they were born, the day they were born. So there is we all know that Nelson Mandela, but he has too many stars parent with his son. He has maybe like a 3 or 4, but one of them is Altair. Be brave. I think you need to be that brave to stand on your ground, to be bold, to stand on your ground. Say, if not any country, any people say threaten you to put you in prison, you will just run away or say no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then what I like is Michelle Obama, because when I saw that data show she has the son parent with the Altair, then I always remember her speech about when people attack what you believe. And I say, when they go down, we go high, we go up. And
Yeah.
I think that's one meaning, because I still remember the Aquila, the eagle, is to make a difference between Aquila and the Lyra. One is the eagle or hen falling down or coming down, and the Aquila is the rising eagle, the eagle going up. So I was surprised that I always remember, and people will always remember what she say. When people attack you, you don't need to be the same as them. You can go above them. You can just like raising your position. Just you don't need to go like them, go that low. And another one I also surprised, of course, the John Lennon, and he is another advocate about the peace and against the war. And he had to be brave to during his time, to be true. But he's quite lucky because he's a famous, so he has a lot of kind of a power to use. But he used to promote peace, and that is a peaceful world. So I feel quite interesting for these three person. And now we come to the Chinese culture. To be honest, there's so many other cultures talking about the Altair, about these stars, and they are very important. It is very important. But I want to talk about the complication in the Chinese star map. The first things, if you still remember, when every time we talk about Vega, on the last episode, I talked about Deneb. I always talk about the love story in the sky for Chinese culture and Japanese culture. That the weaving lady with her husband, herdman, or some people say cowboy, and they were married, but they are too deep in love. They don't want to go to work, so the god was annoying, so separate them in either side of Milky Way. And so Vega is the weaving lady, is in the up north of the Milky Way, and her husband is Altair. Also, most Chinese culture see the Altair as a herdman. But there is a compilation. There is a little bit of complication in here, because later they put the same similar position in on the so-called not very close to ecliptic, around the Capricorn. Around the Capricorn, we have a star nation called cow or cattle. So they are similar. I think some astrologer and some astrologer or some astronomer or the historian study the ancient text and believe that is a blending. So because this area has a star so bright called Keto, so then they call same area with the name of the cattle or cow. But it's not on the ecliptic. Some people will confuse. Later, they also give this star. I shouldn't say later. In the original, this star has another name called River Drum. This is still the official name in Chinese to call the Altair, the second star of River Drum. The second star of River Drum. So what is a River Drum? Okay, the position is here. Here we have a River Drum. But quite interesting. The field star is like an eagle, like today's Aquila we see. But underneath you have see the three star lines up. This is drumstick. This is the river drumstick, and this is the river drum. So river, where's the river? River is Milky Way. We call it a silver river. Milky Way we call silver river. So this is a drum next to the river. But what's the function of this so-called the river drum? Okay, this is a drum like campfire or like to give warning, to give a warning. So the military camp set up here, Across the river is the boundary of the country, is the the frontier. So they see another side of a river, the enemy. If enemy has any action, they will use the drumstick to hit the drum to give it a warning, so the military can take the action. So again, these stars are related to military action. Well, they also call cattle. So there's two meanings in these stars. Cattle, that in the ancient book, this is official history record. If you know, I always quote from this book because this is so important in Chinese history. Astrology, I don't want to say astronomy. Astrology is part of our ancient culture. It's official. And we have officer look after astrology. So the cattle are sacrificed. Okay, so this means, because this usually bring up to whole area from the Capricorn to this part, we call it is cattle mentioned. So this related to sacrifice, worship ancestor, or worship the god, goddess, or ancestor. So these are the area to prepare the ceremony for sacrifice or for the worship. Oh. This is one thing. But most people just like, oh, cattle. What do we do? Okay, for the emperor, the cattle are used for sacrifice to please the god and goddess. Okay, but the most important are river drums. Okay, so river drums are in cattle north. Here is cattle. This one is cattle. And on the up north is the river drum. The river drum have a 3 star. The one in the middle, Altair, is the general, admiral. Then the left and the right are the two, his sidekick, right general and the left general. This is from the official history record how they see this star. And the similar description passed on in every dynasty. Astronomy record will write similar things. So, but I find another even more ancient record talking about this part of the sky. Still, they say this star has 2 names: river drum, so-called cattle. So 2 names: cattle or river drum. The star used divination of determination, state of army, and the whaler to send the troop to the border. So if this star is dim, or you witness wobbly of this star, then that means the army are not happy. Or if they are moving, and that means you should consider to send the troops to the to the front line, because they maybe have a war. So these are related to war. But it's still very interesting how many culture related to this star.
Yes.
To the military action, is very, very interesting. But the sacrifice and the sacrifice or ceremony are very, very interesting, the unique in the Chinese culture. So come to the final part I want to share. Well, I have to say, the photo you see is not exactly in Aquila constellation, but still nearby, still part of Milky Way. Is up of the Sagittarius, but very close to this area. Interestingly, why I share this photo, I know most people see this photo say, oh, I saw it somewhere. Like every time when we see the promoting the photo from the NASA, you will see this beautiful photo. Okay, this photo is the area of sky called the Messier 16 Nebula. It's a bright nebula, or we also call it Eagle Nebula. It's not far. Eagle Nebula is not far from the Aquila, but still. And the Eagle Nebula is famous about its cloud. If you see the middle part, this one, then you will see we also called pile of creation. Yes, this part of stardust is forming the things, bright things you see behind those stars. There is a star. Is forming. That's why you can see the brightness comes out. So those stars is forming a baby star now. It's forming a baby star and already has a light. So you can see the dark and the light in this star. But this is not my first work. My first attempt is this one on the lower part of the right side. This is my original when I think back to 2021. I first time tried to take this constellation in September. And you can see there's two bright nebula. This is the one we see called the Eagle Nebula, like the eagle spraying the wing, flying in the sky. If you see like this, like here, I put it a little bit larger. And you can see, even I use my camera with, I think I use the 300 millimeters lens. You can still see pilot creation in the heart of the nebula. That was the first time I said, wow, oh my God. And then this one we haven't talked about it. This one is called Swan Nebula or Omega Nebula. The same, they are the same, but some people call it Swan. So you have this eagle, you have a swan. It's pretty intriguing. Well, this one I use a 12-inch telescope, much bigger telescope, so you have the clear photo about the pilot creation. I love it because for the first time I see the photo of upright, I swear I want to make the similar photo in a very different design. So I try to work this on this year while I need to race, but I couldn't. I just I want to take some photo. And this is my recent work. I'm also going to share this photo in the upcoming the Evolution Astrology magazine, and to share this part of sky, because it's it's nearly summer. It's summer here, and for North Hemisphere, the beautiful Milky Way and the Summer Triangle are always very interesting. I really encourage astrologers going out to connect with sky, because like Benedict Bradley say, when you talk to stars talk to you. It will give you a lot of inspiration to enrich your astronomy view and astrology view and astrology interpretation. Well, thanks, Christian. Thank you for spending time with us. And I know you were so busy. And thanks everyone for watching our Let's Talk About Big Stars. Well, we will come back next month and to share the more interesting story behind the star. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.